Welcome to episode 85 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. I'm hoping that the availability of vaccines has allowed you to resume some semblance of normal life, at least being able to be with your loved ones. This has been a long haul. It's been tough on everyone's well-being, to say the least. But we are not the first generation, nor will we be the last, to face big, scary issues. We are lucky in that we have the availability of scientific solutions that our ancestors did not have. When we get this disaster in the rearview mirror, we need to remember that this school is full of issues. It always has been, and it always will be. It is our playground for working through our issues while employing the knowledge that we have gained along the way to dig ourselves out and to ultimately make this a better place. It's exciting to know that there are those who have brilliantly immersed themselves in the science that is bringing the solution. There are many brilliant minds here who can solve any and all of the challenges we face. We need to ensure that they continue to have the ability to pursue this knowledge and that we listen to what they say. It is also important to understand that their knowledge is evolving, and it is our duty to stay engaged with that process instead of checking out when the information they have fits our narrative. One of the challenges we face leaves me a little less hopeful. Technology has allowed us to connect to others in ways we never had. But in the olden days, there could be a town crackpot who spouted ridiculous theories, which the rest of the people in the town could just choose to ignore. Now the crackpots have a global reach and can spread misinformation far and wide with amazing ease and speed. When you hear some of the ideas that are being floated out there about the vaccine, it's hard to imagine that they find a devoted audience, but they do. Some people have attached to the previous president as a full-blown part of their personalities, much as cult members do with their cult leader. It becomes their job to be the vocal opposition to those who want people vaccinated. It is somehow lost on them that their cult leader, as well as everyone who either owns or is the voice of the network that spread this misinformation about the vaccines, well, they have all been vaccinated. The spreaders of misinformation do not even believe what they are saying. You have to wonder what their motive is for talking their followers into foregoing the vaccine when they chose to get it themselves. And you have to wonder how the followers have become so disconnected from reality that they are still going along with this current scam. But these are the struggles we have talked about in the past. The problem with surrendering your identity and free will to someone who does not have your best interest at heart. It is so critical to our own growth that we take on the responsibility of doing our own research and the thinking through of our choices. Blindly following anyone is always going to hamper, if not completely reverse, the growth you have already achieved. We have as much of an ability to slide backwards as we do to grow forward. Each choice you make is a step in one direction or the other. The choices we make to keep ourselves safe, as well as to take into account the safety of others, are important elements of where we are on the spiritual awareness progression. This is not just a public health crisis. It is nothing less than a test of your spiritual awareness level. Recklessness and a lack of concern for the safety of others, including those who you don't even know personally, is a step backwards. We are all from the same source, and as such, we must care for ourselves and others. The coming days will put you in the position of having to define your boundaries and the boundaries for anyone who you are responsible for. This will be an absolute necessity. You will need to calculate for yourself the amount of risk you are willing to take. The virus is not dead, and there are still many people in our world who are allowing the virus to use their bodies to move about and giving it the time and opportunity to mutate. It is no time to let our guards down. We may not be able to convince anyone to take safety precautions, but we also must not allow them to endanger us. I try to understand the thoughts and feelings of people who I disagree with, and sometimes I'm better at it than others. The other day, I had a little spark of an understanding. When I go on social media, which I admittedly do too often, I am sometimes deflated by the experience. I will look at the images on Instagram and see people looking beautiful. I see wonderful houses. I see spectacular gardens. I see skillful cooking and baking and all that is produced from those skills. I see people succeeding at achieving their wildest dreams. I see children who are bright and shiny, and dogs that are clean and well behaved. We used to have to buy magazines to see such spectacular sights, but now they are everywhere. To be fair, I follow the accounts of people who are doing all of these great things, and I am aware that I'm seeing a curated version of their lives. In all practicality, the person who looks beautiful may have 15 outfits laying around the room from the search for the perfect image. I know that there are those fleeting moments when a house looks spectacular, but minutes later can be all junked up. I realize that the people who have spectacular, weed-free gardens may have to spend so much time tending to them that everything else is a neglected mess. I realize that the beautiful shot of the main dish or the decadent dessert doesn't expose the sink full of dishes that were created in the process. I realize that people who have worked hard enough to be a grand success in one field may very well be racked with guilt about the other aspects of their life that received short shrift while they were on the climb. I realize that the reason people take photos of their shiny children and pets is because they are looking better than usual. Children and pets are a whole mess of their own. But even though I realize that I'm being sold a bill of goods in these images, they still make me feel deficient. They bring up for me all the areas of my life that need more attention. I feel a bit scolded and guilty and shamed. The feeling that I recognize and the internal backlash that it brought up in me sparked some compassion for those who feel scolded and guilty and shamed about the way that they are being showed a better way in terms of their beliefs. Anyone who is a racist, those who are white supremacists, are getting kicked in the teeth daily. Those who are super cool with the patriarchy are taking a beating. Those who are fine with inequality are being shown daily how wrong they are. Those who have attached their identities to people who are corrupt and anti-democratic cannot find a place to hide, though let's face it, they are still doing this proudly. These are people who are still operating at the lower levels of spiritual awareness. You cannot harbor any of these afflictions and reach the higher levels. These are thought patterns that are inconsistent with the goal of feeling nothing but love and compassion for yourself and others. These thought patterns are void of honesty, integrity, and empathy. They are thought patterns that are rooted in hurting other people. That is always a low-level choice. So now that technology is connecting us all, they are getting blowback from all quarters. They are being told that they are deficient. They are being told that they are wrong. They are being told that the very foundation of who they imagine themselves to be is not good, and they need to change now. That has got to sting. Maybe, just maybe, if we can get in touch with what we feel when we feel diminished by what we see on social media, or what we feel when in the presence of one who has it all together, we can get closer to understanding the reactions of those who are working at the lower levels of spiritual awareness. Of course, we must still fight like crazy to keep them out of power, and we must guard against the harm they would do to us and to others. But there's no getting around the fact that we have to share space with them in this school. People who are being told that they are wrong are predictably defensive. No one likes to be wrong. But even more than being wrong, we resist any notion that we need to work on ourselves. This request is even more despised by those at the lower levels of spiritual awareness. It's an interesting phenomenon that those at the lowest levels are always certain that they are right, while those at the higher levels are more open to being wrong in the sense that they invite new information that may have the effect of altering the beliefs they currently hold. It seems upside down, but makes complete sense. As you rise to the higher levels, your honesty, integrity, and empathy increase. Your concern with how your actions affect others is also increased, as is your ability to welcome checks and balances. Your humility and ability to accept information from others and course correct is also increased. Reaching the higher levels leaves you feeling more secure in who you are and what you are here to do. It leaves you less interested in controlling other people. It makes you less driven by your ego. The Creator does not have an ego. Omnipotence removes the need for an ego. The Creator isn't petty and weak like we are. The ego is what we create and worship to span that gap between where we are, who we are, and where and who the Creator is. We are not all-knowing. The Creator is. We are not flawless. The Creator is. The ego is what we create and rely on in an attempt to fill that gap between who we are, where we are, in relation to the Creator. It is the silly tool we use to try to convince one another and ourselves that we are all-knowing, that we are flawless. It's ridiculous all the ways that organized religions try to sell people on the notion that they are insulting the Creator, as if we have some power to diminish the Creator. We are all as the Creator designed. We are all on the same journey, the journey that the Creator designed. It is all going according to plan. We are all playing the part that was created for us. We are all here to grow and expand our awareness. That's our job. We can't do our job if we think we have already achieved perfection. No one has reached perfection. No one has it all figured out. It's all way too vast. When we ask people to do the work of moving to a higher level, we are challenging their ideas. Their ideas are interwoven to form their ideology. To change one idea may challenge all the other ideas that make up their worldview. Many would rather stay wrong than to do the work of sorting through their beliefs. An example of this is how a large segment of one of our political parties is being tested to see if they will define themselves by the lie that was told about the election being stolen, and that what followed that lie was not, in fact, a violent coup attempt that was meant to destroy our democracy. Understand that if they reject the final lie that was told, they will be pulling a thread that is interwoven with more than 30,000 documented lies and misleading claims that they gladly accepted during the last administration. They would have to accept that they had been duped over 30,000 times. To pull out those threads from the tapestry of their ideology would leave them twisting in the wind, absent their cult leader and a coherent narrative that they could use going forward. If they admit the one lie, they will be left open to having to admit the rest of the lies. That is an enormous blow to the egos of those who are still motivated primarily by the needs of their egos. They have been convinced that there is a politician and a party that loves them. To reject that politician or party leaves them feeling an absence of love and acceptance. We are asking a lot of people who do not yet have the capacity to work through this with the gifts that come from being at higher levels of spiritual awareness. So how do we let them come to this realization without making them feel scolded, guilty, and shamed? That is the task before us. Thank you for your time this week. I appreciate your interest in changing the world by challenging ourselves. Let me know what you think. Email me at rebirthrev@gmail.com. This podcast can be found everywhere podcasts exist, as well as on YouTube. If you can like, follow, and comment on the sites where you listen, more people will find us. Full episodes also play on our Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next week, let yourself off the hook when it comes to impossible standards. Have compassion for those who are trapped in the darkness. Get vaccinated if possible, and wear your mask when it's appropriate. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and in the game.